Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, sitting in for David Pakman today. And if you happen to enjoy what I have to say, I do encourage you, please go follow me across social media, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm at Farron Balanced, including on YouTube. Find me everywhere at Farron Balanced. Now let's switch gears a little bit, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there saying some pretty revealing stuff right now. According to a post that Marjorie Taylor Greene made on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, Greene says that if Donald Trump wins in 2024, they are going after everybody. So here's what happened, because it's a bit of a long story, more complicated story, I guess, to get to the Marjorie Taylor Greene comment. This week, a group called Capital Research Center, which is a right-wing group funded by right-wing funders, and it actually was started by somebody from the Heritage Foundation a couple decades ago. But anyway, they put out a report saying that the voter registration project is the largest and most corrupt charitable voter registration effort in American history. And I'll tell you what their alleged crime was in just a moment. But they put out this report saying, hey, this group that registers voters is somehow corrupt and horrible and So former Trump advisor Stephen Miller shared that on social media and simply asked, RICO? You know, because Trump was just hit with RICO charges, so now they want to hit somebody with RICO charges. And to that, Marjorie Taylor Greene responded. She said, yes! When we take back the White House, we will go after all of them. Nothing will be forgiven this time. So she says, yes, the voter registration project, we will hit them with RICO charges. So you got to imagine at this point, and she basically said all of them, right? Not just the voter registration project. She's saying we're going after everybody. And she's actually made that comment recently as well, that the Trump administration's totally going to just launch a massive revenge tour. More on that in a second. But anyway, you got to be asking yourself, right? What did the voter registration project do? What did they get caught doing? Because obviously, if they're the most corrupt charitable organization, according to the Campaign Research Center, it's got to be pretty massive, right? It is. I will read this. This is from the report from, Capital Research. Capital Research alleges that the voter registration project was used by Democratic donors and consultants to, quote, selectively register millions of non-white swing state voters in the hopes of getting out the Democratic vote for a 2020 presidential win. So they registered voters. They registered non-white voters, and that's what Capital Research has a like, that's corrupt. Getting non-white people to vote, that's racketeering. Using donor money that they give you to go register voters, and then they use it to register voters. That's, in the minds of Marjorie Taylor Greene, in the minds of Stephen Miller, that's racketeering. That's also what they would probably consider, like, that's stealing an election. You registered people that weren't already registered. Now more people voted. Sometimes it's so difficult to even talk about these stories because they're so irrational. Sometimes these people are just so nutty that it's almost hard to refute what they're saying because it doesn't even come close to making sense, right? This isn't a real debate. There's nothing to debunk here. Capital Research is mad that Democratic groups are going out there and registering voters. Deal with it. Like, if you don't like it, why don't you go out and, instead of making fake accusations against voter registration project, why don't you go out and register voters? Get Republicans registered to vote, right? I mean, that seems like the solution. But then you got Stephen Miller, RICO. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene says, yes, we will go after all of them. No one will be forgiven this time. But that's really the heart of what this is about, right? It's not just about Capitol Research making absurd claims about the voter registration project. It's not about Stephen Miller suggesting RICO. It's about Marjorie Taylor Greene admitting a very simple reality that we need to address. And that is the fact that if Donald Trump ever gets back into that White House, it is going to be a nonstop 4-year revenge administration. It will not be based in policy. It will not be based in helping average Americans or struggling people. It won't be about addressing conflicts and crises as they pop up. It will be Donald Trump drunk with power, angry about what's happened to him for the last 8 years at that point. And every single person that is not a MAGA hat wearing cult member will have a giant target on their back. Me, probably you, everybody. But they'll start with the big ones. They'll start with the organizations. They'll start with the Democratic groups. They'll start with Democratic politicians. And once they run out of them to go after, then they'll go down a tier. They'll go after the people that do this for a living. People like David, people like me, people like Jesse Dollemore, people like Sam Cedar. Those are the folks that they will come after next. We've already seen, by the way, just on that note, what's happening with Elon Musk's X. It is actively promoting right-wing, people. It's doing very little to combat the hate that is now rampant on that platform. And it is, in effect, helping to silence those of us on the left. So we all will have targets on us. Now, we probably won't be investigated the way that the other Democrats will. You think what we've seen so far this year is bad from Republicans? I mean, what we would see under a Trump administration has nothing on what those House Republicans have done this year. It'll be Hunter Biden, it'll be Hillary Clinton, it'll be Barack Obama, it'll be Adam Schiff, it'll be Jamie Raskin, it'll be Dan Goldman, it'll be every member of the squad, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Jeff Merkley, Ed Markey. My God, if you're a Democrat in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump will make sure that your life becomes a living hell. And if you're not a Trump-supporting Republican, if you happen to have made the mistake of endorsing any of the other Republicans running for office right now, you're also going to be a target. That is the threat. That is the danger of another Trump administration. But it goes beyond that, too. Because we've got checks and balances in place, right? You can't just have one president that goes out there, does all this crazy stuff, and gets away with all of it, and nobody's there to stop him, right? We have a Department of Justice, right? We have the FBI. We have other cabinet positions that typically rein it in. But this is the thing. Trump learned from his first 4 years in office to make sure that he doesn't put anybody in a position of power that's ever going to tell him no. So if he comes up to them and says, hey, we need to steal this next election, he's not going to be met with people like Mike Pence or Bill Barr who say, hey, that's a bridge too far for us. He'll be met with people who say, yes, sir, that is a great idea. What do you need me to do? That's the threat. It's not just that they're spelling it out for us, telling us we're going after everybody. They're not trying to hide it. The problem is they would be able to do it because Trump is going to make sure to pack that administration with yes men and yes women, and nobody will tell him no. There will be no adults in the room. It'll be nonstop investigations of anyone that Trump thinks is his enemy.